A self-join. We've learned about many different join types. In this lesson, we'll learn about a self-join. What is a self-join? A self-join is where you join a table to itself. Why would you want to do that? It depends on your data structure. It's used when a record in a table is related to another record in the table. It's common for employee-manager relationships. Let me explain. Employees are listed in an employee table, and employees have managers. But managers are also employees, and managers also have managers. So how is this defined? The employee table that we've been working with has a column called Manager ID, and this ID represents the employee ID of their manager. An example of our table data is here. Employee ID 1, Michelle Foster, has a manager ID of 162. Employee ID 162 is Kimberly Mendoza, which is Michelle Foster's manager, and her manager has an ID of 191. Employee ID 191 is Randy Spencer, and he has a manager ID of 193. So why is this useful? We might want to select the employee's name and their manager's name. Both are from the same table. How do we do this? With a self-join. Let's see an example of this. First, we'll select some data from the employee table. We can see that most of the records have a manager ID. There is one here with a null record. If the record is null, it means they have no manager ID. And in this database, it's probably the CEO. Now, let's say we want to show the employee details and their manager's name. We can select the employee ID, first name, last name, and manager ID. Now we want to get the manager's name. We need to join our query onto the employee table. And yes, we can join to the same table, or to one table twice. However, we need table aliases. Here's another way that they come in handy. The first employee table we'll call emp, because it stands for employees. Now, let's put the word emp and a dot before all of our columns here. Now we go back to our from clause here. We're going to use a left join because we want to see employees even if they don't have a manager. We're going to join on the employee table again, but we're going to give a different alias. We'll call this employee table MGR, which is short for manager. Now, when we select columns, we know which data we're getting from the table. In this join, we're going to join on the emp.managerID equals mgr.employeeID. This says that the employee's manager ID needs to be equal to the manager's employee ID. Now in the select clause, we can add the columns from the MGR table, such as the manager's first name. Now let's run the query. We can see the employee details and their manager details. For example, employee ID 157, Carlos Russell, has a manager ID of employee 3, which is Carolyn Hudson. There are several employees here, all have the same manager of Anne Bowman. If we scroll down all the way to the bottom, we'll see one record here, employee ID 5, Doris Powell. It has manager ID of null and first name and last name of null. This means that they don't have a manager and they are the CEO. This is shown because we have used a left join and not an inner join. So that's how you can use a self-join. It's helpful for tables that have data relating to itself, such as a manager and employee, or a hierarchy of customers or products. Next, we'll cover how to join more than two tables together in the one query.